what's at stake when your brew goes wrong?
Your
guys?
reputation.
Your pride, your passion.
Can or bottle? That's up to you. Personally, I like a bottle. A can is good too, though. Okay, I guess I'm a poor decision maker. No matter. Now we're moving on to the importance of maintaining consistency in your brew.
With you guys brewing so many brews, like how do you maintain consistency? Like what's the hardest part in maintaining consistency? Like I've seen you guys have that room, you got the control room back there, and like that's gotta help. But like you guys, like you're doing everything by hand. Like how do you make sure that your brew is like the same old brew every time, you know, so people can expect to drink it?
It was hard to like say exact approximation or an exact assessment, but I would say we probably have to work about like twice as hard to ensure consistency in the product, because we don't have our heating is a little bit inconsistent. We can't control tank volumes as accurately. Our measurement equipment isn't as good. We have a couple of like toys, like we have a good bench pH meter. We regularly get water testing. We have an alkalinity meter. These are all kind of like small tools, but they kind of get us on the path of ensuring consistency. Our biggest problem is probably because of our scale, ingredient availability, and having to change up recipes, but trying to keep the recipes the same when the ingredients are deliberately are actually different. It's a new batch of hops.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at every level. Yeah.
Yeah.
We recently had our base malt. The supplier in all of North America was completely out of our base malt. So we had to, we shouldn't have put all our eggs in one basket, but no one foresaw that all the West Coast was going to run a Simpson's Golden Promise.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
Not to mention this year's barley crop is not the best.
but it's the best it's ever been in the UK, which is where all our malt is from.
That's crazy. Okay, so yeah, you're experiencing like barley drought basically, and
It's our best. We just had Peter Simpson was just at our place, and he's like, it's like the best year we've had in probably 3 or 4 decades.
He's a cool guy. I met him at CBC in Boston, and he was blown away that at that time I was doing it. I was running a 7-barrel brewery, and he was like, wow, like, how do you make any money using my malt?
Yeah, it's so expensive.
Exactly. So, Jeff, I mean, how do you guys keep your consistency besides like, automation and stuff like that? Like, when you're shopping for products and stuff, like, you have the same suppliers you go to, or you kind of
we try it. I mean, verbatim. We try to keep it as much as the original as possible. But when the lots switch, that's where it gets. That's where that crossover happens. And we're bulk, so we're in a silo. So we get down to about 10% left, and we fill on top. So we don't know, when we're switching lots coming through, and you don't see it till you see when you come out of the lauder tun where you're at, and it's like we double batch, so we do 2 brews a day. So whatever we hit in batch 1, if it's if we can adjust it in the whirlpool with by adding water again, like we touched on high gravity and then taking it down. We make up in the malt bill on the second brew to have that luxury of fine tuning the brew.
There's a big difference. We can't do that. What's in the tank is what's in the tank. So once we move it past the stage of dilution, we can't do anything in the kettle. So, and luckily we're not double batching in a single day. So if we do have an equipment failure, which now that we're at the threshold, we bought fairly cheap equipment, stuff's starting to break down, and we can stomach that. For chucking out a ton of brews in a day, that could be the end of your shift if you have a major equipment breakdown.
We've sat in the whirlpool for 4 hours during just a power outage.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like, okay.
We had our glycol chiller fail a couple weeks ago. That was brutal. Like, could fermentation go up to like 97? Just like, yeah, that one's still sitting in keg. It's probably going down the drain. So
Yeah, and I'm worried about
Master profiles out the roof.
I'm worried about like my measly homebrew like going bad and have to pull it down the drain and everything. Like, Do you guys have to do stuff like
You're
that?
gonna lose what, like $25 tops?
Yeah, $25.
Yeah, and then us like, oh, we're
45
only gonna
minutes of
lose like
time.
$500. And you guys are like, holy shit, like we're gonna lose several.
Right, like what's at
$1,000.
stake? What's at stake when your brew goes wrong?
Your
guys? Like,
reputation.
Your pride, your passion. Like you're worried about, like you just said, you're worried about how it's going to come out. It's because you're invested in it.
yeah.
It's a.
But on a low end, you guys are like, come on. I mean, like a brew goes bad here. How many gallons is that? How much time is wasted? And
Yeah, it sucks. It definitely sucks.
You face decisions like that, like God, every day. Like we have one of our core brands. Like it turned out a little bit different. We changed up some of the numbers because we're getting more accurate with what we're looking at with hop utilization rates. And so I switched up some numbers, but then we're also switching to a new hop. I think I fucked up somewhere in there, and we ended up overbittering one of our beers. And not overbittering, the late hop characters came on really strong. It's nice, it's a nice beer, but it's not our ordinary bitter. And when the ordinary bitter tastes like a pale ale, what do? Like I put a lot of our reputation on making a really high quality ordinary bitter because I want to bring high quality British beers to people. And when it tastes like a really lovely pale ale, they're like, what the hell do? You still made a good beer, but
it's like a Frankenstein beer, right?
That's the beauty of the IPA, right?
yeah, right? It could be
Dry hop it more.
A hydrometer is a means of measuring the gravity of a fluid, so the density of the fluid. And high sugar content increases the density of the fluid, and when you have alcohol being less dense than water, as the sugar is turned into alcohol, the density is decreased. So you use the hydrometer to measure your initial starting sugar content, and then as you progress through fermentation, you're able to use the decreasing density as measured through the hydrometer to then calculate your alcohol content.